The future of humanity has never been this fragile. The galaxy is trembling, empires are crumbling, and whispers of rebellion are spreading faster than light. Foundation Season 3 doesn't just promise another chapter. It sets the stage for a battle that will decide who controls the destiny of millions. And the trailer wastes no time reminding us that every prophecy, every plan, and every sacrifice has been leading to this moment. Before diving into the shocking images and powerful words of the Season 3 trailer, we need to step back into the chaos left behind by Season 2. The last season didn't just end. It shattered everything we thought we knew about the balance of power. The genetic dynasty, once believed to be untouchable, faced betrayal not just from enemies, but from its own bloodline. The cracks in the empire were no longer hidden behind walls of steel and ceremony. They were visible for everyone to see. We watched as Brother Day struggled to keep his grip on power, his confidence slipping with each passing betrayal. Brother Dawn's innocence was twisted into something dangerous, while Brother Dusk carried the weight of tradition and decay, unable to stop the slow unraveling of everything the Cleons had built. These weren't just rulers anymore. They were men cornered by fate, legacy, and the mistakes of generations past. On the other side, the Foundation transformed from a small spark of hope into a force that the Empire could no longer ignore. What began as Hari Seldon's dream, a hidden plan to shorten the dark age of humanity, started to become a living, breathing movement. By the end of Season 2, Foundation wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. The balance of power shifted, not through sheer strength, but through belief, faith, and a dangerous new ideology. But the true heartbreak of Season 2 came with the fates of Gaal, Dornick, and Salvor. Their journey across time and space was more than just a mission. It was a prophecy unfolding before our eyes. Gaal, once the student, now found herself a reluctant prophet, staring into futures that promised nothing but blood and sacrifice. Salvor, brave and fierce, carried the burden of choices no one should have to make. Their bond became a symbol of humanity's fight for survival. Love, pain, and duty colliding in ways they never expected. And above it all, like a ghost that refused to fade, Hari Seldon remained. Sometimes a guide, sometimes a manipulator, sometimes a mystery. Was he truly in control of his plan? Or had the plan taken control of him? By the end of Season 2, we were left with more questions than answers. Questions that the Season 3 trailer promises to confront head-dash on now. As the trailer opens, it doesn't just show us the continuation of a story. It shows us the consequences of everything that came before. The fall of trust, the rise of rebellion, the tightening grip of fate. Foundation. Season 3 is not simply about what happens next, it's about whether humanity itself can survive. The storm it has created, the trailer wastes no time setting the tone. Darkness, silence, and then a single voice, a whisper that cuts through the stillness. These opening moments are not loud or explosive. Instead, they are intimate, almost secretive, as if the galaxy itself is holding its breath. In the distance, we glimpse shadows of worlds caught between despair and hope. The Empire's banners may still fly across the stars, but the cracks in their power are spreading, and those who once bowed in silence are now daring to stand taller. The camera lingers on broken landscapes, ruined temples, and fleets preparing for war. This is not just world building, it is world breaking. Apple's choice here is deliberate. Before we see the grandeur of battleships or the majesty of palaces, we are reminded of the cost of Empire's rule. Ordinary people, nameless faces, carrying the weight of dynasties they had no hand in creating. These opening frames are a silent promise that Season 3 will no longer be confined to the halls of power. It will expand into the lives of those crushed beneath it. And then comes the first striking line of dialogue. Voice steady, determined, yet tinged with fear, speaking of rebellion. This is the heartbeat of the trailer. Not a rebellion of individuals, but of civilizations. Not whispers of a single uprising, but an echo across galaxies. In these words lies a prophecy. The Empire is no longer feared the way it once was. Its name, once unshakable, now trembles in the mouths of its enemies. Visually, the trailer blends this dialogue with images of fleets gathering, temples burning, and leaders facing impossible choices. Each frame feels heavy with destiny, as if history itself is bending. We see glimpses of new factions, warriors cloaked in strange armor, leaders we have not met before, and ships designed not just for travel, but for war. The rebellion is not scattered. It is coordinated, and that is what makes it dangerous. This opening sequence is crafted to pull the audience into the heart of Season 3's central conflict. It is no longer about one empire versus one foundation. It is about faith, rebellion, and survival colliding across every corner of the galaxy. The whispers of rebellion are not just background noise, they are the opening chords of a storm that cannot be silenced. As the camera cuts back to the Empire, the contrast is clear. Marble palaces, endless rows of guards, and the cold, calculated faces of the Cleons stand in stark opposition to the raw desperation of the rebels. And in that contrast lies the tension that will define this season. A dynasty that has always relied on fear, facing a galaxy that is no longer afraid. The first images of the trailer remind us of a simple truth: power built on fear cannot last forever. And foundation. Season 3 is about to show us exactly what happens when fear fades and rebellion rises. The heart of the trailer shifts, and the camera takes us into the marble halls of Trantor. Here, beneath the shining towers and endless ceilings, the genetic dynasty sits upon its throne. But the throne no longer feels unshakable. It feels fragile, almost brittle, as if every word spoken might be the one that shatters it completely. The Cleons have always been presented as untouchable, a perfect line of rulers, copied from one man, designed to rule without weakness or flaw. But Season 2 already exposed the truth: perfection was always a lie. And Season 3 doubles down on that revelation. The trailer lingers on Brother Day's face, his expression no longer smug or untouchable, but haunted. His eyes dart with suspicion, his voice trembles with defiance. This is not the face of a god king. It is the face of a man who knows his time is running out. Brother Dusk, the aging shadow of the dynasty, carries the weight of failure in every frame. He looks less like a ruler and more like a relic, a piece of history still clinging to relevance. His speeches, once commanding, now feel desperate, like the final words of a man watching his legacy turn to ash. And then there is Brother Dawn, the youngest, caught in the middle of a collapsing dynasty. His innocence, once a weakness, now feels dangerous. In the chaos of rebellion, Dawn may become more unpredictable than either of his brothers. The trailer teases a stunning moment, Day confronting his own reflection, not in a mirror, but in another Cleon. It is a scene loaded with symbolism, the dynasty at war with itself. The same man split into three pieces, each one trying to prove he is the true heir of Empire. The camera emphasizes this fracture, showing the Cleons standing apart, separated by shadows and walls, as if even the throne room itself no longer believes in their unity. What makes these moments powerful is not just the dialogue, but the silence in between. The spaces where Day glares but says nothing, where Dusk sighs, as though he knows the truth, and where Dawn listens with wide eyes, understanding more than he lets on. These silences speak louder than words. The dynasty is crumbling. Not because of outside enemies, but because of what they are inside, copies of a flawed man, trying and failing to live forever. And yet, even as the dynasty fractures, the trailer shows us their desperation to cling to power. The Cleons appear in grand ceremonies, marching through golden halls, their guards forming walls of steel and silence around them. They still look like gods to the people below, but to us, the audience, the cracks are visible. The dynasty is terrified, and fear makes even the strongest rulers dangerous, the Cleons. Struggle in Season 3 is not just about holding on to the throne. It is about survival, pride, and legacy. It is about three men who are at their core. It's the same man trapped in a cycle that no longer works in a galaxy that is changing faster than they can control. The trailer makes it clear. The greatest threat to the Empire may not be the Foundation, or the rebels, or even Hari Seldon. The greatest threat to the Empire is the Empire itself. As the trailer pulls away from the crumbling walls of Empire, it shifts to something even more dangerous: the Foundation. What was once only an idea, a plan whispered by Hari Seldon and carried by a handful of believers, has now grown into a movement that can no longer be ignored. Season 3 wastes no time in showing us just how far the Foundation has come. We see wide shots of new cities. It's built not in secret but boldly, as if daring the Empire to notice. Temples rise from the ground, their walls filled with scriptures and symbols of Seldon's vision. Crowds gather in the thousands, not in fear, but in faith. The Foundation is no longer just a group of scientists hiding on the edge of the galaxy. It has become a religion, an army, and an empire of its own. The trailer gives us glimpses of ships bearing the Foundation's insignia, massive fleets preparing for war. These are not makeshift crafts or scattered forces anymore. They are organized, disciplined, and powerful. We hear a voiceover, perhaps one of the Foundation's leaders, declaring that the future belongs not to the Empire, but to those who believe in Seldon's plan. Every word drips with conviction, and every frame reinforces the truth. Belief has become a weapon, sharper than any blade and stronger than any fleet. The most striking moment comes when we see common people kneeling, not to the Cleons, but to the Foundation. Their eyes shine with hope. Their voices chant in unison. This is not fear. This is devotion. And devotion is far harder to kill than rebellion. Empires can burn rebels alive. But how do you kill an idea? How do you silence faith when it spreads like fire across the stars? Visually, the contrast is breathtaking. Where the Empire's palaces are cold, metallic, and rigid, the Foundation's gatherings are warm, filled with light, fire, and voices. The Empire enforces order with soldiers. The Foundation inspires it with belief. One side commands loyalty through fear. The other earns it through faith. The trailer carefully draws this line, daring us to ask which will prove stronger. And yet the Foundation's rise is not without danger. The trailer hints at their own growing arrogance. Leaders speaking with fire in their voices, crowds chanting as if Seldon's plan is unshakable law. The question creeps in: has the Foundation become the very thing it once sought to destroy? Is faith in the plan becoming blind obedience? The trailer doesn't give us the answer, but it teases the tension that will run through every moment of Season 3. By the end of this sequence, one truth is undeniable. The Foundation is no longer a whisper in the dark. It is a voice that echoes across galaxies. And when voices rise, empires fall. And then, just as the Foundation's rise begins to feel unstoppable, the trailer cuts to the figure who started it all, Hari Seldon. His presence is like a shadow cast across the entire galaxy. A reminder that everything happening now was predicted, planned, and set in motion long before anyone understood. The trailer does not show him as a simple man. Instead, he appears as something more, part prophet, part ghost, part architect of destiny. His voice carries through the images, calm but commanding. It's a kind of tone that makes it impossible to tell whether he is guiding or manipulating. Every time we hear him, the atmosphere changes. The Foundation looks less like a rebellion and more like a prophecy fulfilling itself. One scene stands out: Hari standing in a chamber filled with glowing symbols, his figure flickering like a projection. He speaks not as if he is alive, but as if he has become timeless, more an idea than a man. His face, calm and unreadable, suggests both wisdom and danger. For those who follow him, he is the light that leads them forward. But for those who doubt, he is a reminder that no one, not even the Foundation, may truly control their own. Fate, the trailer, cleverly plays with this tension. We hear his words layered over images of fleets preparing for battle, rebels raising banners, and Cleons struggling to keep their throne. It makes us ask, are these people truly choosing their own path? Or are they simply walking the steps Hari predicted centuries ago? The brilliance of the trailer is that it doesn't answer. It leaves us with the haunting possibility that free will itself may be an illusion. But beneath the calm surface of Hari's words, there is also unease. His voice falters in places, his tone sharpens, as though even he is unsure if the plan is still on track. Season 2 already hinted that the plan was slipping, that variables were spinning beyond Hari's control. And Season 3 seems ready to take that doubt even further. What happens when the prophet begins to lose faith in his own prophecy? The trailer leaves us with fleeting glimpses. Hari looking over Gaal and Salvor with something between pride and sorrow. Hari speaking of sacrifice as images of destruction flash across the screen. Hari's voice echoing as if from the future itself. He feels less like a guide this time and more like a warning. The return of Hari Seldon in Season 3 is not just about leadership. It is about the weight of destiny. It is about one man's plan to save humanity, and the terrifying possibility that the plan itself might become more dangerous than the empire it was meant to destroy. By the time his voice fades, the trailer makes one thing clear. Hari Seldon may be gone, but his shadow rules everything. And as long as that shadow exists, no one in this galaxy, not the Empire, not the Foundation, not even Gaal, is truly free. After Hari's haunting presence fades, the trailer turns its gaze to two figures whose bond has carried the story through tragedy and hope, Gaal and Salvor. Their journey has never been about thrones or empires. It has always been about survival, about choices made in the face of impossible futures. And in Season 3, the weight of destiny finally presses down on them in full. The first images of Gaal in the trailer are striking. She stands against a storm of stars, her face lit by the glow of galaxies, but her eyes heavy with sorrow. Her voice, calm yet trembling, speaks of futures she cannot escape. Gaal is no longer the wide-eyed student who followed Hari into the unknown. She has become something else, a prophet haunted by visions. A leader who never asked to lead, a woman who can see too much of what is to come. Then comes Salvor. Her presence is fire where Gaal is shadow. The trailer shows her in the midst of danger, blade drawn, her expression fierce. Salvor has always been the protector, the one who chooses action when others hesitate. But now her role seems heavier. She is not only protecting Gaal, she is protecting the fragile line between hope and despair. Her determination is clear, but beneath it lies fear, not for herself, but for the woman she loves and the future she cannot control. Together, their bond is the beating heart of this season. The trailer captures them in quiet moments, a hand reaching out, a look shared in silence, a promise spoken without words. In a galaxy ruled by empires and prophecies, their love is both their strength and their curse. Because love, in a story shaped by destiny, always comes with sacrifice. The prophecy teased in earlier seasons hangs over them like a sword. We hear Hari's voice reminding them of what must be given up, of what must be lost to preserve the plan. And as those words echo, the trailer cuts to flashes of chaos, ships exploding, battles raging, planets burning. The message is clear. Their choices will decide not only their fate, but the fate of humanity itself. There is one chilling moment. Gaal, standing alone. Her face streaked with tears, whispering words that sound like goodbye. The camera lingers just long enough to make us wonder, is this the future she has already seen? And if it is, will she choose to fight it or accept it? For Salvor, the trailer shows the opposite. Her screaming against the tide, refusing to surrender, charging into danger as if sheer will can bend the laws of time. It paints them as two halves of one destiny, one who sees the future and one who tries to fight it. Together, they are powerful. But the tragedy of Foundation is that even power may not be enough. By the end of this sequence, one truth burns brighter than all the others. Gaal and Salvor are not just passengers in Hari's plan. They are its greatest test. Their love, their pain, and their sacrifices will shape the very foundation of what is to come. And as the trailer makes clear, destiny is no longer waiting for them. It is here every great story needs its shadows, figures we don't yet understand, faces that appear without names, and voices that hint at danger. The trailer for Season 3 wastes no time in planting those seeds. Just as we begin to think we recognize the players of this war, the Empire, the Foundation, Gaal, Salvor, Hari, the trailer cuts to glimpses of strangers who could change everything. The first is a warrior. Clad in armor, unlike anything we've seen before, his helmet is jagged, his movements precise, and his presence feels like the embodiment of war itself. He is shown for only a few seconds, but in those seconds the message is clear. A new kind of enemy is entering the story. Not one that hides behind thrones or prophecies, but one that fights with steel, fire, and blood. His armor does not resemble the sleek designs of Empire, nor the symbolic robes of the Foundation. He belongs to something else, something older, perhaps something forgotten until now. Then there is a woman, cloaked in shadows, her face half hidden. She speaks only one line in the trailer, a whisper that sends chills through the silence. Not all futures belong to Seldon. With that single sentence, the trailer shatters certainty. If she is right, if the plan is not absolute, then Hari's great vision is flawed. And if the plan is flawed, then the entire Foundation may be standing on lies. The camera does not linger on her long, but the impression is unforgettable. She could be an ally. She could be the greatest threat yet. We also catch glimpses of leaders from other worlds, kings draped in gold, priests raising staffs before massive crowds, generals standing over holograms of star systems. These are not background figures. They are voices rising in the power vacuum left by a weakening empire. The galaxy, it seems, is no longer content to watch two giants, the Cleons and the Foundation, battle for dominance. Others are stepping into the arena. Their goals remain shrouded in mystery. The trailer also teases a more subtle threat, betrayal from within. A brief shot shows a Foundation council chamber erupting into chaos. Leaders shouting at one another, one man slamming his fist on the table as if tearing at the very unity that holds them together. If the Foundation is divided, then even their faith may not be enough to carry them through the coming war. And then, perhaps most unsettling of all, the trailer hints at a shadow behind the shadows. A figure never fully shown, only suggested by a silhouette in the distance, standing at the edge of a battlefield. No name, no face, just presence. Whoever this is, the trailer wants us to fear them. It is a promise. There are forces moving in the dark that we cannot yet see, and when they step into the light, the galaxy will tremble. Foundation Season 3 is not just about the war we expect. Empire versus Foundation. Prophecy versus rebellion. It is about the enemies no one sees coming. It is about the unknown. And as this trailer makes painfully clear, the most dangerous threats are always the ones hiding just beyond our sight. The tempo of the trailer rises. Slow whispers and tense silences give way to thunder. Fleets moving in formation, armies marching, worlds trembling. The galaxy is no longer preparing for war. It is already at war. And Season 3 makes sure we understand the scale. The first sweeping shot is breathtaking. A vast battlefield in the stars. Hundreds of ships blaze across the screen, their engines glowing like suns, their weapons igniting the dark. The Empire's vessels, sleek and disciplined, clash against the Foundation's growing fleet, marked with bold insignias that carry not just power, but faith. In these images, war is no longer just politics or strategy. It is belief colliding with fear. Destiny clashing with control. On the ground, the trailer cuts to fire and blood. Cities reduced to rubble, temples burned to ash, soldiers dragging banners across scorched earth. We hear screams beneath the roar of explosions, chants rising even as flames consume the air. This is not a clean war. This is chaos. A galaxy tearing itself apart. And yet, amidst the destruction, the trailer gives us moments of stunning symbolism. A child clutches a broken book of Seldon's words. A soldier kneels before a shattered statue of a Cleon. A ship plunges into the atmosphere, its fiery descent painting the sky like a second sun. These are not just battles. They are messages, reminders that the cost of power is always paid in human lives. The most haunting moment arrives in the middle of the montage. A voice, calm, almost cold, declares, empires fall. Faith endures. As those words echo, the camera lingers on the face of Brother Day. His expression broken, his crown of power trembling. In that single instant, the trailer delivers its central question: which is stronger in the end, the weapons of an empire or the faith of a people who refuse to kneel? But the war is not shown as one-sided. The foundation for all its rise is not invincible. We see their ships torn apart, their temples crushed, their leaders overwhelmed by impossible choices. Victory, the trailer reminds us, is never free. Every gain demands a sacrifice. Every prophecy fulfilled is written in blood. The editing crescendos, quick cuts between fleets firing. Soldiers charging, leaders screaming. Explosions light the void of space. And then silence returns for a heartbeat, only to be broken by the thunder of a final image. A massive planet engulfed in flames, its surface cracking as if the war itself has broken the world apart. By the end of this sequence, the message is undeniable. Season 3 is not about skirmishes, not about political games. It is about a galaxy-wide war, a war that will decide not just who rules, but who survives. Faith and fire have met, and only one will shape the future.